Day by day, we just live our lives, but we don't ask ourselves or each other so much the most important question of why are we here? What is our purpose? I just wanted to understand why I'm here and what my purpose was.
The first night I didn't know what to expect. We just kind of picked a table and got to meet new people, which was fabulous. And then I found out that as we all started talking, we all had very similar backgrounds and ideas and questions and stuff. So it was just, our table immediately gelled.
First thing that happened was the facilitator said, don't judge each other, give everybody a chance to speak and just learn from each other. And I thought that was, wow, how often does that happen?
My friends Elissa and Joseph, I nanny for them. And she just reached out and she was like, hey, there's this thing called Alpha. Like, no pressure, but if you want to go, it'll be like a good time. I don't want to go alone, And I was like, okay, because I just wanted to hang out with her. The first Alpha meeting, I was not expecting that many people to be there. It was like a full house. So I got kind of nervous. It's like, I don't know how much of a social mood I'm in right now. I felt like immediately there was this sense of community. Not two people were the same or shared the same exact beliefs. And that opened my mind to oh, there's grace within this space. You can be in a Christian space and it's not do or die or super intense or scary, because that's how it was for me growing up. And there was all this room for people to disagree. Alpha really became this positive place for me, and it became the thing that I looked forward to the most every week.
Our crew for this Alpha ended up being 7 students. And some of them were from our crew that are just kind of regulars with us, and then some of them were invites in. Moving to New York, I'm here to watch young people come alive and be transformed and know that they matter and know that there's a God that loves them, is for them, all that stuff. When you have this massive push, you're really encouraging your students to invite in, and you've got a living room full of 7 people. I think at the same time as sure, would I want this whole apartment just packed? Absolutely. But I think if you let yourself dwell on what the group isn't, you're gonna miss the group that God gave you, the people that are in the room.
I just love good food. I love fresh food. Being able to gift that to people. If they show up and there's this high quality food versus, I don't know, some sloppy slices of New York pizza, right? It just creates a different atmosphere. Tonight, I make some homemade egg noodles, and we're gonna have them with a mushroom cream sauce. So we have a little bar set up, and every week we try another non-alcoholic spirit. So it's kind of like a welcome drink. There's a lot of Jesus' ministry that happen around the table. And if I can share food with someone in the hope that it will make them feel home and feel valued and feel seen, and there's just a lot to that, of showing love through food.
We had 6 people show up on day 1, and it was just perfect. It was a simple 1 table, we're all around the table, watching the series and just having great food. It would just lend itself to really good, deep conversation, unexpected conversation. We have people that were just starting out their faith journey, if you will. They just recently went through the Rite of Christian Passage. You have other people that have been serving in the church for a while. But then also you have different cultural and economic backgrounds. You have people that are working in corporate and banking, other people that are unemployed. Everything was very different and unique about everyone, and yet somehow we were able to kind of come together, have good food and conversation.
At one point, it was just 2 leaders and 2 helpers coming to the Alpha session. There's no guests coming. We're still trying to continue all of the Alpha sessions. We never thought about giving up. And there was a few times we have quite a lot of guests coming over to my place. I think it's a really consistent community building process. So I'm still very grateful for the people who are willing to show up, and also us to share life together, to enjoy food together. I still find it to be a very meaningful journey.
Our second session, we were very surprised that we had not enough room for seats. They were just standing room only. There was just people came to visit, people were curious, people from our church, siblings of others just came to hang out and see what it was like. And when we had standing room only, it felt so good just to know that people were curious about what we were doing.
The level of openness and how genuine people were, we wouldn't want to lose that for more people. And we were able to keep that.
There was 1 week, the topic was, why did Jesus die? And when we talked about forgiveness, there really wasn't a dry eye in the room. I mean, every person was so expressive and honest and open and courageous. People just shared true, genuine stories, and we all felt connected in a way that we couldn't describe.
Meeting these guys and knowing that they're like me, trying to find Jesus, you know? And it's so nice to know that there are people out there, especially men, but I'm learning Jesus through a lot of the guys, how they feel about Jesus, what Jesus has done for them. It's just a blessing.
We had someone new come in week 4 of the experience. And he came over, say hi to people, and immediately cut up with a conversation. And he just went to us, it's like, why have I never found a place like this before to have conversations like this? And it kind of right there clicked in our mind. It's like, yeah, we need more of this, because it means that we are creating the space that needs to be created for people to come and experience Jesus, experience his love, experience him in a real way. And it matters.
I think what has just been really cool to watch is just this long game of Alpha's not really about, okay, how quickly can we just like convert somebody? How quickly can we get you to come tell you about Jesus and you pray the prayer? You know, it's much more of a, let's build relationship. Let's walk with these people. Let's play the long game. You have students come to you or in an Alpha course and say things like, I don't know if God really answers prayers. I've prayed this thing and he's not answering. Maybe he's not really there. Or I'm struggling with this mental health issue and there seemed to be no answer or light at the end of the tunnels, like maybe God's not real. As an adult and somebody who has experienced the love of God very evidently in my life, the easy thing to do or to want to do is to say, you're wrong and let me tell you why. I think I just felt God so clearly be like, Reagan, I am going after them, and Alpha is just a space I'm asking you to hold. And it might be slower than you expect, it might be different than you expect, but just like hold the space, create the space, because like these people I'm going after.
Some nights, to be honest, we were exhausted and like, oh man, this just seems like a lot tonight.
Yes.
Like to do an Alpha tonight. And I mean, sometimes we'd be like, should we cancel?
And then that's the night where you're like buzzing with excitement, praying and thanking the Lord for some breakthrough of a story somebody shared.
One of the nights talks about how does God guide you? Everyone was sharing different stories, you know, like where they've experienced maybe perhaps supernatural guidance, you know. I could tell there's this one woman she was fidgeting, she was like kind of moving. I was like, she wants to speak, like she has something to say. She was like, a lot of people here are talking about some really positive experiences that they've had. What I'm about to share is very hard, and my life is really hard, and I have not experienced what you're talking about. And she just started crying and then shared some really tough things that she has gone through in her life. There was a gentle spirit, and I'll just never forget this moment, but another man that was going through the Alpha course,
A guest,
yeah, was sitting nearby, and after she shared like things that she's never shared before, he like scooted close to her, took her hands, like, it's gonna be okay. You are not alone.
Yeah.
And it was just the most beautiful response, because she immediately felt validated and loved and seen.
A few Alphas later, she comes back, and this was a moment where when we hit that place where she released the hurt that she had and then she forgave, it's like, in a moment I've never experienced, the whole countenance of the room shifted immediately. It's like she could breathe, and she burst into laughter. It's like she could breathe like 60% more oxygen than she's ever had before. And she just, language just starts pouring out of her, and
it
praises
was just like
and
that
adoration
heaviness
of
just
Jesus.
Leapt off of her.
And we
It was
just saw the
wild.
immediate change and transformation, which is so beautiful because you journey and pastor so many people over a long journey, which is often necessary. But that moment, that night on that couch, something shifted that will change her life, but changed us as well.
I started off really well with a lot of initiative and wanting to see things happen. And then on the execution part, especially after there was like a significant dropout, I was kind of waiting. It's like, okay, I want to be done with it, right? Our culture is like so success driven. So it's like, well, you want to see results. But the whole thing about Alpha is that it's not about that. And it's not about you. And it's always about the other person. What kept me going was as well like just to realize that Jesus always was for the individual and not for the mass. And that he made time just for one person. And like the whole story of leaving the 99 behind to go like for the one. You know, you grow up hearing that story at church like over and over and over again. And you're like, oh, you know, that's great, that's cute. But then it's like when the rubber meets the road and you're like, okay, you know, I'm putting all this time and I have to be okay with it if it's just for one person.
The first time I said yes was just like to hang out with a friend. And then the reason I kept going was because like stuff started happening for me. There's not many spaces where you have an opportunity to talk about like big life questions like that. It just doesn't happen. But like having a community and a space to talk about like these huge things that you don't usually get to talk about is like so huge. I felt like I just would leave every week with more questions, but also just opening my mind to things, watching the videos and hearing about like the history of it all. I think my mind started to be like, this is what I want to believe in and subscribe to. but then like as my mind went there, it was like my heart was like kind of slowly following along, and I felt like my heart was like opening up and wanting to like invite God into my life. I can tell you that's not what I was expecting when I went to the first week of Alpha. That's not what I thought was going to happen.
So we're out here in the Poconos, a couple hours outside the city at this great retreat center. Part of the Alpha experience is that we do our best to create a weekend away. This is where we talk about the topics of who is the Holy Spirit, what does the Holy Spirit do, how you can be filled with the Holy Spirit. It's where relationships really get solidified, memories get made, and community is formed. I always feel like this time right before the weekend begins is so fraught with tension. I mean, it's like decision week on so many levels, and like this is the pinnacle of it right leading up to the night. It's decision for so many people, whether they're gonna even come or not, whether they're gonna commit. And then they get here in this environment and there's open space for you to open yourself up to the love of God. It's decisions and tension.
There was one session where we talked about forgiveness. I don't know, maybe there was only like 2 dry eyes that was in our meeting that session because it was just so impactful. There was a lot of stories that was shared, but a lot of personal things that I think wouldn't have been shared if they were not comfortable with the people around them.
People have been embracing it, and we can't wait to see what happens tonight. Last night was powerful, and when we had our discussion time after the talk this morning, I just sensed people are anticipating something, even if they're not ready to repeat that chorus, I want more, I want more. They want something.
Everyone started talking about the Holy Spirit, and I was like, wait, everyone slow down. Like I just feel like I've gotten to this point, and now I'm like, this feels really big and foreign to me.
I was not feeling it. So I've always, like I said, I had this thing with religion. And I was kind of done. I thought this is not what I expected. I'm feeling very closed off again and frustrated by it all. It just wasn't comfortable for me anymore. And now I started to feel like that outsider again who wasn't religious enough at that moment. So I was starting to close down again. And so I'm standing there and I'm really just wanting to leave. I'm like, where's our driver? Can we go home? I'm done. Okay, there's nothing here for me.
Just felt like, I don't know if this is gonna happen for me.